so it's just not quite been knitted together perfectly, but maybe this is going to be the race then, as the Urus, the leading car, blasts away. And now on the green flag, so everybody else blasts off as well. But uphill climb towards La Source, that slightly tilted corner, cambered away to the right-hand side. You can see it there as the field then swoops through the right. And as the rest of the pack accelerates away, the last couple of cars just leaving the line, Kuma Prabhakara and the Malaysian, and the experienced Oliver Freimuth, you can see at the very back in the black and gold car, as this mega grid. And it's interesting as travel becomes a little easier, certainly for mainland Europeans, how many more cars and more drivers are coming back into the championship, as Oliver Freimuth then, who had it off in Q1, that car patched together again, that is good to go, ready for this first race of the weekend. They plunge downhill. This is where we had that big accident at the end of race 2 last year that brought out the stoppage flags, but fingers crossed we're going to be able to get through without drama. Traditionally, Super Trofeo is very dramatic around Spa. Let's wait and see. Jonathan Cecotto and Sebastian Balthazar then share row 1 of the grid. The second row is going to be Danny Cruz on the inside, and his fellow Dutchman of Milan Tikens lining up alongside him. On the third row, Kevin Gilardoni lines up alongside Carol Bash. The fourth row, Max Weering and Guillaume Peugeot. And then on row 5 of the grid, there is Lorenzo Veglia starting, and he will line up alongside Andrea Kohler. Miji Dörrbecker will go from 11th on the grid, and 12th is Bronislav Formanek. 13th on the 7th row, Oscar Lee starts, and he's got Raul Gutzmann alongside him. On row 8 on the grid, there is Han Huilin, the newcomer to the European Championship for Butsen Gignon, the Chinese driver, with Gerhard Watzinger to line up alongside him. On the 9th row, the Luxembourg driver Gabriel Rendoni is on the inside, and lining up alongside him is going to be Ray Calvin, the Canadian who was thought to be missing this event, but glad to see that he's on the grid. Clovis Gosselin starts next alongside Pierre Falegioni. Then more returners to the championship. Gregor Mokchulski, he will start on the inside of row 11, and alongside him another returning driver, Gerard van der Horst. On the 12th row there is Hans Fabry, driving for Imperiale Racing. He's had 3 class wins this year in the Lamborghini Cup, and Libor Dvoracek is alongside him. Then you've got a long way back on the grid, Petra Matic for Bernaldi. I say a long way back because Milos Pavlovic will share, and he's going to be a man to watch in his stint. And then Donovan Privitello for the Rexel FFF Racing team comes next. The back row, Kuma Prabhakaran and Oliver Freimuth, who didn't get a time in before his incident that brought out the red flags within Q1. But he's there, he's on the grid, and he is good to go. So the cars now make the run down to Campus, into the Courbe pour Frère. They will loop their way around up towards Blanchimont and then towards the grid, Raul Gutzmann's view. Of course, last year they raced much later in the year here in October when track temperatures were much cooler, and it was that 3-into-1 situation, plunging downhill, that just did not go. So the grid will be from a rolling start. So in other words, as they get towards the chicane, it's going to be a situation for the cars to get themselves into the 2x2 formation. They're doing it now, in fact, as they come up through Blanchimont, so that Noah's Ark formation, 2x2, with the pole position line on the inside for Jonathan Cecotto. Jonathan, one of the 2 sons of Johnny Cecotto, motorbike champion, Grand Prix racer, touring car champion, and Jonathan, who's done the bulk of his racing in Italy, initially in single-seaters, in GT cars. He's been a stalwart Lamborghini racer, and is, like Kevin Rossell, his partner in this race, a Lamborghini young driver. So is this going to be maiden victory time for the combination from the Nova Marine GSM racing team? We are about to find out, because the cars now make the run in towards the chicane. It is no longer really bus stop shape, so I think we can finally dispense with that tag as the cars head into the braking zone now. But of course, at the end of the next lap, it will be much, much faster. And this, the calm before the storm. Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe then. Of course, there is an equivalent championship in North America. In normal circumstances, you have Asia and the Middle East as well. But for the 7th race of the year in the European Series, the race director, Daniele Gaviati, gives the signal to get the race underway. Now, as the lights go green, it is blast off, and a really good start by Cecotto, and a good start too by Danny Cruz in the red car from the 2nd row of the grid, with Sebastian Balthazar in the green livery, a little bit sluggish away. Balthazar on the outside line, and there's drama there, look, because a spin. 54 rotates, that is Maxime Oostern. Cars scatter in avoidance, but that could have been a whole lot more expensive. It badly delays the Dutch driver for Bernaldi, so Maxime Oostern rotates on cold tyres. The leaders plunge downhill for the first time, up now through Radion. But a good getaway by Cecotto. He leads, and into second place, Danny Cruz then with, in third, having made a not quite so good getaway, Sebastian Balthazar, as they make the climb now up the hill, heading towards Les Combes for the first time. Cecotto trying to build that lead as there, a dive up the inside, the VS Racing entry. That's number 16, hustling on, is Carole Bache from Pro-Am, and the net result is that around goes Kevin Gilardoni, and again, cars have got to try and scatter coming out of Les Combes. Leaves lots of rubber on the road. Gilardoni rejoins, but it's a very frantic first lap indeed. So drama at turn 1, drama up at Les Combes as well, going through turn 6, and this is all playing into the hands of Cecotto, who is keeping his head while others around him are losing theirs. He's building that advantage. He heads down the hill now, in towards Pouan. Throws it into that long left. Danny Cruz in second place. Third is Sebastian Balthazar. Fourth then is Carole Bache. And fifth was Kevin Gilardoni. But he has fallen a long, long way back in the pack. And what that has served to do now, he's given there. He is number 11. That will give co-driver Leonardo Puccini a lot of work to do in the second stint. Kevin Gilardoni then, he's on his toes. He's already getting himself up through the traffic. So Gilardoni presses on and relieves some of the back markers of position. Gilardoni, runner-up in the championship last year. He's raced in the Megane Euro Cup, in GT4 briefly, in the NASCAR Euro Whelen Series. So he's an experienced driver, but like a number, getting it wrong on this opening lap. So the cars that were 4th and 5th on the grid, both in stripe. Cecotto leading, and he's building that gap on this opening tour of the race as they blast their way now up through Blanchimont. Into the braking zone comes the race leader, about to notch off one lap of 50 minutes. Cecotto leads the way, and now Danny Cruz, who returned to the championship on home soil at Zandvoort to share with Dan Pell. He is in second spot, looking to try to bring down that gap, and Gilardoni is going to be the other driver to look for, number 11, as he also hustles on in a multicoloured Oregon team entry. Those Oregon colours, the pink and yellow and green, carried across a multitude of cars for many, many seasons. At the end of lap 1, Cecotto leads Cruz by 1.1 seconds, but if anything, Danny Cruz looks like he might be on a mission here. The Flying Dutchman, another of the pros, comes downhill towards Eau Rouge, hunting down Cecotto. Flick left, flick right, make the climb up the hill, over the curb, and to the eye, that gap looking a little bit less. These two getting away now from Sebastian Balthazar. The race leaders then up towards Les Combes for the second time, and the gap is coming right down between third and fourth. Carole Bache, who is the pro in the Pro-Am car then, leading his class of course. He's right on the back of Balthazar. Here is the fight. So Carole Bache, the Polish driver, his co-driver Andrzej Lewandowski. He's not slow, but he's not as quick as Carole. And as they come now down into the right at Bruxelles, Sebastian Balthazar is really under attack now. Balthazar in his second season in the championship, former German F3 racer, goes through Speaker's Corner, but you can see the pace that Carole Bache has got now. The VS Racing entry is all over him like a rash as they head down towards Pouan. In 5th is Max Weering, in 6th place in the background is Lorenzo Veglia, but right now, the Pro-Am leading car of Bache, the class opposition is Veglia, who is one back there, going through shot. Carole Bache has got a little bit stuck as they head down towards the pit path. This is lap 2, 46 minutes on the clock. Carole Bache taking a big chunk of curb on the inside line there. Doesn't really compromise the run too much. This a replay of the start. The lights blink to green, and look, Balthazar just not as quick as he needed to be. He tries to move across and defend that second place, but he's too late. Danny Cruz has already committed to the inside line, gets through on the inside, and that is around going the car of Maxime Oustem. So he is badly delayed out of all of that. I think he did it all on his own, just on the cold tyres. And then, of course, there was yet more drama up at Les Combes later in the lap. Everyone trying to squirm their way back onto the circuit, cold tyres out of the hairpin. A fantastic shot, and the sound as well as they rattle over the curb at the foot of Eau Rouge. Replay of the start from Raoul Gutzmann's point of view. Cars accelerate up towards the La Source hairpin. He's on the outside line, and all of a sudden the road gets busy at 90 degrees ahead of him, if not more, because there's the spinning car of Maxime Oustem just coming across in front. He avoids it and then plunges downhill. This much narrower feeling section of the circuit with the concrete on one side, the Armco on the other, and that was Gilardoni on that opening lap, losing it again on cold tyres, thankfully not being collected by anybody. Up front then, Cecotto leading. 1.8 seconds. He is getting away from Danny Cruz. third and fourth, Sebastian Balthazar and Carole Bash now. And Carole thinks about the inside line and then thinks better of it as they climb the hill on this lap number 3. Right, left and right again. Through goes Cruz, and Carole Bash lines up for the inside coming out of Lecombe. Tries to prise open the door, and he might just be able to squeeze up the inside into Bruxelles, but no, Balthazar comes across, sticks out his elbows, hangs on the position, Bash up the curb, couldn't do it there either. As they swoop downhill, they're almost overlapping, and again a challenge is made to the inside line. That's where Balthazar hangs onto the place. Carole Bash gets run out way wide and actually gained an advantage by exceeding track limits there because he kept up the momentum. He comes out ahead, and look, Max Weering is right there as well. So new third place man, Carole Bash, and Max Weering has arrived on the scene 5th, and he's right there clambering all over the back of Sebastian Balthazar's car. Out wide he goes over the curb on the exit of Pouen. Weering, but he's not able to make a move coming into the pit path. At this speed, that straight from Pouen to the pit path disappears very quickly. Here's the replay. Look, Carole Bash on the outside. He couldn't turn back in, so he gets forced out because, look, right up to the curb goes Balthazar, but Carole keeps his foot in, avoids anything solid, and has the momentum, therefore, to be quicker downhill and get the place. Having gained that position, look, he's 2 lengths clear, and number 16 under investigation for track limits. It may well be that the instruction comes, give back the place, but you can see why it is being looked at, because certainly he was able to come out quicker and gain the position. Max Weering going through in 5th place. Fastest lap so far is Cecotto, and number 16 being investigated there. Carole Bash leading in Pro-Am then as they head into the chicane, and Bash arrives so quickly that he scrubs off all the speed and loses the gap because he had to fight a big slide there. Leaders go through. Cecotto to Cruz is 2.1 seconds now. Danny Cruz in that second spot. Sebastian Balthazar 4th behind Carole Bash. Max Weering is 5th. In the background 6th is Lorenzo Veglia. 7th is Miji Dörrbecker. In 8th place it is Raul Gutzmann. 9th Andrea Kola, and then a big gap before 10th is Bronislav Formanek going by in the Michenek Motorsport ACCR entry. Carole Bash must give back 1 position then. So the man 3rd has got to become the man 4th. That is Dörrbecker, who is coming under attack from Gutzmann, but it's the sister car of Carole Bash that has got to give back 3rd place to Sebastian Balthazar, and he has done so, heading up the hill towards Lecombe. So Bash does it absolutely right and lives to fight another day. So let's see what he can do as they come out of Lecombe. That's the change having just happened for 3rd and 4th places. So Sebastian Balthazar is given the place back. Way up the curve they go, and now drop down towards Bruxelles once more. And this is where Bash absolutely commits to it, and he goes by on the inside line. So Carole Bash goes through, back up into 3rd place, and now Max Weering comes up to have a go. Balthazar tries to defend, but he's on the wrong line, and it's all a little bit untidy heading down the hill. So Max Weering on a smoother line, a rather more committed charge now, makes a look to the inside at Pouen, but Sebastian Balthazar is just able to fend him off there as well, but that was close. So the race leaders then turn their way through that right-left sequence going out of the pit path, and way out wide over the curb goes Carole Bash. Now he leads the Pro-Am battle. Lorenzo Veglia, who is behind this battle pack, running 6th overall. He's 2nd in class. The leading Am at the moment is Han Hoi-Lin, and the leading Lamborghini Cup entry, somewhat further down the order, is Pierre Feligioni. Now the recovering drivers, 12th Kevin Gilardoni and Maxime Houston 20th, so making slightly heavier weather of it, but he was further back anyway. I think he lost more places, but Kevin Gilardoni 12th place and pushing. This is the fight for 4th again. Balthazar versus Weering as they come up towards the chicane, and again Carole Bash seems to go really deep into the corner there. So here they come over the line. Cecotto leads Cruz. Through they go. That's the top 2 just blinking out of shot. Look to the line. 3rd, the white car is Carole Bash. 4th, Sebastian Balthazar. And 5th, right behind him. Now alongside him is Max Weering. This is going to be tight on the inside line. He's up the curb and he goes by. Max Weering goes through then. He picks up 4th place. And as Sebastian Balthazar is rattled out over the curb, 6th behind him. And a little bit closer now is Lorenzo Veglia. Raul Gutzmann is running 7th, bearing in mind that he started 14th on the grid. Making good progress is Raul Gutzmann. Those grandstands you get a look of in the background there for the rallycross track. WRX, a feature of the Spa calendar these days. So 10 minutes done, and the class leaders, as I say, it is Cecotto leading pro and leading overall. There, Carol Bash going through in third place, heading the Pro-Ams. And then we need the AM leader, which is Han Hoi Lin, and that goes through Les Camps, just chasing after Andrea Cola. So there is Cola, who is another of the Pro-Ams, chasing after Michael Dörrbecker, who's a pro. A little fight though is going on for now 8th and 9th places, and actually Dörrbecker, having been passed by Gutzmann, has lost quite a bit of time in a short amount of spar to be reeled in by Andrea Cola. Cola shares with Dmitry Gvatsava. He will do the second stint in that car. Behind them, there's Formanek, then there is Peugeot, then there is the recovering Gilardoni. And look at the top of the shots, and wait, and there, just coming into picture, is Han Hoi Lin, who is the leading AM driver, 13th and falling away, being monstered now by Oscar Lee. So it's China versus Hong Kong in this little fight. There is Han Hoi Lin, with no racing to do in the Asian Championship at the moment. It's good to have him in Europe for Poussin Gignon, and Oscar Lee likewise chasing on behind him. So this is AM versus Pro-Am. But Han Hoi Lin comes down towards the pit path with Oscar Lee there, pressing on behind him. Those Oregon cars are going to switch order pretty soon, aren't they? Guillaume Peugeot being reeled in by Kevin Gilardoni. That gap coming down and down and down. But Han Hoi Lin, who will go solo, must make a longer pit stop, don't forget. But he is, for the moment, fending off the attack from behind of Oscar Lee as the race leaders come up over the line. Through goes Jonathan Cecotto. And then in second place, you've got a charging Danny Cruz. That gap now 2 seconds between the pair of them. Danny Cruz for Bonaldi Motorsport. So it's not a monster gap, but Cruz is just not quite able to bring it down enough to have a go. Let's see what happens on the pit stops. And it's quite a regular thing in Super Trofeo that we end up with dramas post-pit stop window because somebody's been slightly too quick or under the time required, and then penalties come, and that all needs unravelling late race. So the leaders battle their way uphill. There is Cecotto, and in the first sector of this lap, as he breaks the beam, he should be able to go quicker again over Danny Cruz because he's got clear road ahead, and he does indeed pull out another 10th. There is Gilardoni, who has indeed got ahead of his teammate Guillaume Peugeot now. So Peugeot drops a place, and Gilardoni, recovering after his spin, absolutely flying. He makes the run up Radion, at the end of which there is the fight between Michael Dörrbecker and Andrea Cola. So it's a VS car ahead of a target entry, and Andrea Cola is positively fizzing at the moment as he tries to make this move because he's running nicely, he's quicker, but he's being held up a little bit by Dörrbecker, and he's trying to force a mistake out of the Mexican driver ahead of him. Again, both of these are shared entries, so they'll have a differing pace within the second stint as they come out of Speaker's Corner now. We're getting our first track limit warning as well, and it's for Luciano Primitello. So the race leaders currently work lap number 6. They can see the fight that still rages on. Dörrbecker ahead of Cola. Now we're only really 6 minutes away from that pit window opening, so the order is going to shuffle itself around fairly soon. The field turning its way here down to the right-hander of Campus. Onto the Courbe Paul Frere goes Michael Dörrbecker. And that battle rages on still. You can see the way that Cola is trying to gain ground. Also further back in the pack, Raul Gutzmann closing on Lorenzo Veglia now. So the race leaders come up through the chicane over the timing line. The gap now 2 seconds between the top two. And there is 99 heading into the chicane, Andrea Cola, and out wide ahead of him goes Dörrbecker. The mistake he's made, they're side by side in the background, but that was all Dörrbecker's doing. Gutzmann in the meantime is about to make a move on the inside with Lorenzo Veglia down towards La Source. The line is his. He's able to break that a little bit later and go through. So Raul Gutzmann takes up 6th place now. Really good drive this, having qualified 14th. So Gutzmann is on a charge, no question. So the race leader, Jonathan Cecotto, 2 seconds to the good over Danny Cruz. In third place, Carol Bash still leading in Pro-Am. The leading AM, Han Hoi Lin, the leading Lamborghini Cup entry, Pierre Feligioni, who's down in 20th place. And we are just under now 5 minutes off that window opening of 65. Lorenzo Veglia turns through. Italian GT racer, and partnering J.M. Littman, who didn't race in the end at Zandvoort. Got a new co-driver for here, and hopefully it's going to be a good result to kick off this new partnership. There is Han Hoi Lin, who is still under attack from Oscar Lee. So that's Am versus Pro-Am. And in fairness to Oscar Lee, he is the Am within the Pro-Am car, so they're kind of a comparable pace anyway. But when Dan Wells takes over the second of these two cars, expect it to fly. Han Hoi Lin, a little bit deep down towards Bruxelles, but he gets away with that. Powers downhill now. So the leading car, currently on lap number 7, 4 minutes to the window opening. It's only a 10-minute window, and everyone to a regulation pit stop time. So it is 60 seconds stationary if you've got 2 drivers, and 63 if you're on your own. 28 seconds as the drive time, line to line, if you've got 2, 31 if you're a soloist. So the race leaders now on to lap 7, and Oscar Lee still unable to find a way past Han Hoi Lin, but not for the want of trying. Field now heads down from the Piff Paff, out of campus, onto the Cours Paul Frère. Kevin Gilardoni, incidentally, still clambering back up the order after the lap 1 spin. He's into the top 10. The leaders have gone by, and the lead gap has come down quite markedly to a 1.5 seconds. And it seems to be in that last sector that Cecotto has wasted a big chunk of time. Now, he's either had a moment or it's the start of a problem, but either way, he has dropped something like 0.8 seconds there. Can he recover from it? We'll see. The gap does seem to stretch again as Kreuz goes up through Radion. Over the top. There's the race leader. So Jonathan Cecotto slightly quicker than Kevin Rossell. Expect him to go longer in the stint. Danny Kreuz more experienced and therefore a bit quicker than Dan Pell. Expect him to go further in the stint. Swinging their way now up through the right, left, right through Les Combes. And only when you come out of this section now does the road finally start to drop downhill, and it's a real sense of relief as they start this roller coaster that loops them down through Speaker's Corner on towards Prouan. So out of Bruxelles, and it's Kreuz there that makes a small error and goes slightly wider. That's going to stretch the margin again. It was another 10th pull back by Cecotto within sector 1. So those drivers that are starting a lap right now, because the field is a little bit more strung out after the dramas of earlier, they will be able to pit at the end of the lap. At the moment, the best lap of the race is a 2:21.8 from Jonathan Cecotto, and there he is. Clambers up the curb. A multicoloured Nova Marine backed car from the GSM Racing Squad, turns out of the Piff Paff. So Cecotto it is, trying to continue this very, very impressive pace early in the race, trying to build this lead. The Monegasque squad that operates the car will be ready for the pit stops for that and Lorenzo Veglia's car. J.M. Littman to take over the second one, and Kevin Rossell to take over that, the leading car. So Cecotto up towards Blanchimont. Through he turns, chasing on behind as way over the curb there is Cecotto. That might start to get people excited about track limits if he does it more than once. Down to the chicane, drivers getting ready in the pit lane, awaiting their turn. That's Milan Tikens, who will take over from Maxime Houston, who had that lap 1, turn 1 spin. Here are the leaders. They can't pit yet because the window hasn't quite opened. It will open for them midway around this lap. The leaders go by then, and the margin between them has stretched out again to the eye. Yeah, 1.8 seconds it is. So down towards the hairpin at La Source goes number 61. So Max Wearing turns through. Downhill heads this new battle because now Carole Bash being caught by Max Wearing. Carole Bash still clear within the lead of the Pro-Am competition at the moment. And there you've got 54, the recovering Maxime Houston gaining another place then. That puts him ahead of Ray Calvin into 16th spot at La Source. And the pit window is now open. So the drivers currently on lap number 9, they've got to wait to the end of it. Those that are just coming up towards the chicane can pit if they desire now. So the race leader, Jonathan Cecotto, 1.8 seconds to the good, but the surprise really is Sebastian Balthazar. Having qualified second, he's now having lost places, lost a big chunk of time. He's 14 seconds back, so that's all mounted up quite a lot within the first 20 minutes of the race. They're going through is Karol Bash, still well clear of Veglia and Kola within Pro-Am. It's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out in the second stint. Now, one of the first to pit has been Peter Matic, the Serbian driver, forgive me. The Serbian driver is in, and Peter Matic giving way to Milos Pavlovic. Now, that car was way back, 25th, but they're going to give Pavlovic the absolute maximum time in the car. Not suggesting he's going to win, but it should make some places because Milos Pavlovic, very, very experienced, very, very quick driver. Cecotto will stay out for another lap. What about Danny Cruz behind him? He stays out for another lap as well. Over the timing line, there you go. The margin between them is 2.2 seconds. And into the pit lane does come, by the look of it, Sebastian Balthazar. So from fifth, maybe he was struggling a little bit towards the end of that stint. I think Max Weering might well be in as well. Yes, he is. So Max Weering comes in, number 61. It was Balthazar coming in. What about Gilardoni to give way to Pulcini? That would make sense. Get him out of the traffic as well as put the slightly quicker Leonardo Pulcini into the car. That's Balthazar who stops, and Noah Watt rushes over to the car. Even though it's all done to a controlled time, still wants to get there as fast as possible, and away goes Milos Pavlovic then. So for the moment, Milos is a lap down, but he'll gain that back as others cycle through their pit stops. So Max Weering serves his mandatory pit stop, stays in the car, so 63 seconds, and the team has to take account of the fact that you can't be out in anything less than 31 seconds of drive time. There is Dan Wells about to leap on board to relieve Oscar Lee. 66 also does the driver change, so now Josef Zaruba gets on board. And down the hill goes Cecotto then, still trying to build that lead. So Cecotto ahead of Cruz, the gap 2.2 seconds last time, and it does look, apart from that one glitch in a sector where the gap suddenly came down, that Cecotto has drifted around that quite nicely. He is getting away once more, and so as he pulls clear now all the way through the right-hander of Blanchimont, I suspect he might do another lap or two at least before he has to think about the pit stops, because he's a bit quicker, a bit more experienced than is Kevin Rossell, so it makes sense for him to be out for as long as possible, try and maximise the opportunity. And it's playing into their hands for the moment because there's been no safety car interruption, so that means that these laps are unaffected. It's pure pace. Whereas, of course, for one or two of the other drivers, if you get a safety car in the second stint, it goes against your plan. But right now, Cecotto it is that holds sway, comes up to the line, stays out for another lap, as does Cruz. So the quicker drivers staying out for as long as possible, trying to take full advantage of the time available. They've got 6 more minutes, which is going to be on the safe side, 2 more laps really. So the leaders plunge downhill through Eau Rouge, and now the climb up the other side, out of Raidillon. Cecotto now nearly 3 seconds to the good. Raul Gutzmann has just pitted incidentally out of 4th place to give way to Glenn Van Berlo, who's also doing the 24 hours this weekend. So Van Berlo is a busy man. Not quite as much today because there's no real GT3 activity for him other than the warm-up session, which he doesn't have to drive in. 65 arrives for JM Littmann to replace Lorenzo Veglia. And there is the race leader, heading down now through Bruxelles. Jonathan Cecotto is getting away from Danny Cruz. That gap widening all the time. More for the pits include Han Hui Lin and Maxi Mouston to give way to Milan Tikens. Gabriel Rendoni is in, the Luxembourg-based driver from the AM Cup also in. So this is going to play around with the order quite markedly now. Bit of a wobble there from Cecotto as he heads down through the approach to the pit path. That just puts him on the dirty line through the first element of it, but again he's able to recover from that and because Cruz has dropped the time already, he's not able to take advantage. But Cecotto, coming towards the end of his stint, still pushing as hard as he can. 2.9 seconds is not a monster gap, but now it's going to be really down to Kevin Rossell to see whether he can maintain that, stay ahead of Dan Pell for the remaining 20 plus minutes when they get behind the wheel. So now up towards Blanchimont comes Cecotto, accelerates through, got the road to himself, but again he's way wide over the curb. And the first of our pit stop investigations are coming in. It's number 6, the Miji Dörrbecker, now Mattia Michelotto car. So if you're under on those pit stop regulation times, then the officials will have a good look, and in comes the race leader then. So Cecotto into the pits. And what about Danny Cruz? I think he's going to stay out. He needs to do one more lap. So Cruz stays on the track. In comes Cecotto. Is Kevin Rossell ready to jump on board? He should be. So Jonathan Cecotto down the pit road. Danny Cruz does indeed now take over the race lead, but it's by, if you like, default rather than by pure pace. Kevin Rossell with his seat is there ready. Out clambers Jonathan Cecotto. And as 33, Danny Cruz leads the way. This car is going to be, when it rejoins, the best place of the pit stoppers, because we haven't had that many of the other leading cars to make a stop. But I would offer you as the next one, number 41, Raul Gutzmann, whose car has been taken over now by Glenn Van Berlo, so that should be the next best of the stoppers. It was a long, long way behind number 7. So when 7 rejoins, that should keep its race lead, but this car has made a stop, and from my crude calculations, it is the best place of those that have stopped thus far. And now, although the screens are still saying Raul Gutzmann is at the wheel, it should not be. It should be Glenn Van Berlo who is at the helm of that car, unless they decided to go solo. But I don't think that's the case. We've not been told about that. We have 1 or 2 drivers that were down to do double duty and have then decided, actually, now I'll concentrate on the 24 hours. Yes, I said all of that. The transponder has now updated itself. So Van Berlo is on track. Now, this is Kevin Rossell. As long as he gets up Radion before 41 goes up Radion, that will be the leading car. More bail for the pits, you can see. Andrea Kohler has been in, Ray Calvin has been in, Gerhard Watzinger has been in, Pierre Feligioni has been in, Gregor Mochulski has been in. So over the timing line goes Max Weering, then Noah Watt, and then Glenn Van Berlo. So right, on the stops, that car, Noah Watt has gone back ahead of number 41, or stayed ahead of 41, yep. So Noah Watt is going to be taking the fight for the moment to number 7. But where is the number 7 car in the pit lane relative to where those are on the track? They're about to come up Radion. That's the exit of La Source. There is Jonathan Cecotto's car, now with Kevin Rossell at the wheel of it, so that is the best place of the pit stoppers. The next question to be whether or not number 33, which is currently the leading car yet to stop, maintains the advantage when it rejoins the racetrack. Kevin Rossell has got to really push here. He was ahead by 3 seconds before the pit stops. So at the moment, you've got the slightly slower driver in 7 against the quicker driver in 33, but Danny Cruz is in, so he wasn't able to maximise much more of the opportunity, but 1 more lap. So is that going to be significant? Let us find out. If it doesn't put them in the lead, it should narrow the gap, except there, look, he's found traffic on his way in, so that might just go against Danny Cruz. He finds the team, swings into the parking spot. Number 70, Gerhard Watzinger, rumbles his way down the pit lane. So Cruz to Pell. Dan Pell to get on board. Danny Cruz, having done his work, walks away. Interesting that he doesn't take advantage of an opportunity to give instruction to his co-driver. He's got the attitude that his work is done. I'll walk away. The team can strap you in and sort you out and do the timing. So we've also got Carol Bash and Guillaume Peugeot into the pit lane. Bash and Peugeot 1 and 2 in Pro-Am. So this is the battle now. 1 in the pits, 1 on the track. Can that red car get out ahead of this one? Can Dan Pell come out ahead? Or if he doesn't, is he going to be able to strike? Ooh, big moment for Kevin Rossell coming out of Blanchimont there. Remember, this is his out lap. He's still trying to play himself into how the car feels and what the circuit feels like. About to be released is 33 then, so Dan Pell ready to go, but he's going to lose masses of time seemingly here. Away he goes now. Makes the run into La Source, accelerates away. And so as he comes out of the pit lane, he's ahead, just ahead then. So on the pit stops, number 33 takes over the lead. Dan Pell comes out ahead of Kevin Rossell in second place. Now, assuming that both of those pit stops were done to the correct time. Therefore, it would suggest that it was a better stop by number 33, the Ronaldi car it is that's now ahead, and Dan Pell has the advantage as they make the run up Radion. So he's new to the championship this year. Let's see what he can do. Danny Cross has given over that car to Dan Pell. It leads, and as they come up towards Les Combes, after all of Jonathan Chicotto's work, time has been lost in the pits. Now, the time for number 33 was 1 minute 28.5 seconds, and for Kevin Rossell's team, it was 1 minute 30.9. So a slower pit stop for number 7, and that's enough to flick 33 into the lead of the race now. So it was ahead when 7 pitted, and it stays ahead with seemingly a slicker stop. So the race leaders head downhill, and Dan Pell, new to the championship this year, has been impressive in his previous races. Was in the walls a little bit at Zandvoort, ironically on home soil, but the Fiesta Benelux champion, Mazda MX-5 racer, still only 17 years of age, he now could be on for a maiden victory in what has been actually a really wide open championship this year with a real shuffle of winners. The other one to keep an eye to still number 11, recovering after the spin, Leonardo Pulcini. He is down in 10th place. And this is Noah Watt diving up the inside and going ahead of Andrei Lewandowski. So that puts him up now ahead of the leading Pro-Am car, and also there Glenn Van Berlo wants to try to get in on the act as well. So lots of shuffling. Lewandowski needs to know which battle to fight here, because he's not up against these pro cars. He can quite happily let them go and just bank the points. Now we have got pit stop times being investigated, and there's quite a number of them, as oft is the case, but one of them is coming for number 6, the Miji Dörrbecker car, another for 22 of Libor Dvoracek, another one for 99, the Andrea Kola and Dimitri Gatsava entry. So the officials now having a look at those pit stop times, trying to make sure that the regulations have been adhered to on those pit stop regulations. And as here, 41 Glenn Van Berlo comes up out of the chicane, uses all of the curb there, breaks the beam. Now the lead gap 3.5 seconds, so Dan Pell getting on with the job here. The cars once more accelerate downhill. That's Kevin Rossell in 2nd place. What can he do now about Pell ahead of him? Looks as though the Dutch driver has got better pace, doesn't it? Because that gap is widening. You can see there the margin between the two of them. So 33 on those pit stops, jumps ahead, and as he comes towards the end of Sector 1, Dan Pell there stretches the margin by, let us see, another 1/10 of a second. This is on board with Glenn Van Berlo coming out of Blanchimont, and the car ahead gets it all wrong, and that, I fear, might well be Noah Watt aboard number 2. So there is the car off on the way to the chicane. Fear might well be Noah Watt. Yes, it's not come by. It is indeed Noah Watt that's got it wrong coming out of Blanchimont, and that's going to bring out the safety car, I would imagine it does, in order to remove that from harm's way. So safety car deployed. And that is going to take us, a rather shaken Noah Watt. He's out of the car, but inevitably after a big moment, he's very frustrated about it. He's away from the car and walked away. But you can understand after a big moment there, fast part of the circuit, that the car's not going to be very happy either. And there'll be damage on the offside corner of that. So safety car on track. And Noah Watt walked away. The medical car quickly on the scene. The marshal's making sure he's okay. He'll go to the medical centre anyway, as drivers do after any incident these days, whether there's an impact large or small. But at that kind of pace, you can understand why he might be just a little breathless, a little winded. Here's how Glenn Van Berlo saw it. So just over the curb goes Noah Watt, loses the back, and around it goes pretty high speed towards that wall and out of the race. That brings out the safety car, so we can check on the driver and also get the car out of the way. So safety car boards are there. The recovery vehicle very quickly is dispatched. Another of the medical team heads this way as well, and the safety car has been deployed, but it's not picked up the race leader. It's quickly been scrambled as the medical team goes to work. So there, the field accelerating towards the incident zone, but they'll hopefully have got the message about the yellow flags and be told to slow right down here. They'll get the message when they see all the blue lights by the side of the road and the number of intervention vehicles. So as the field then comes towards the end of lap number 14, hopefully the safety car crew are going to be able to wave by the cars they don't need and then get the race leader, who is there, look in traffic. And what this does also is get rid of Dan Pell's advantage, and it brings the car of Kevin Rossell right back into the mix on his tail. So there is the safety car, and Daniele Gagliardi, the race director, explaining the process. So it is on track, ready to pick up number 33, and the safety car is sort of heading towards the pif-paf at the moment, whereas the leader is in traffic here, coming up towards Licon. The leading car is the third one in this stack. So this, I suspect, might take a while to unravel. We have a while because the incident is still being attended to, but it may well be that we're not going to get many racing laps in. Number 6 is being given a time penalty of 1.4 seconds at the end of the race. Number 6 being the car of Mattia Michelotto that's running 7th on the road. And of course, a safety car late race like this does not help you overcome a penalty. Riding down with Glenn Van Berlo. This car is currently 4th. So we've got 13 minutes to go. There's the safety car, but waiting for company really at the moment. But as the field streams through, there's another look at that impact into the wall from the view of Glenn Van Berlo, and a very, very frustrated Noah Watt, but also rather shaken Noah Watt, because as you saw, he was walking rather slowly away, understandably. Well done to the safety car crew. They've got exactly the right car behind. So that's a good example of how it should be done. Let the cars you don't need go, no mucking about, pick up the race leader, and everything's under control now. Another car getting a penalty at the end of the race is number 22. It's only a 0.6 of a second penalty, but even so, Libor Dvoracek has been dealt a blow with that penalty. I think actually he's in last place now, so it kind of doesn't matter, but he's being penalised anyway. And with 12 minutes to go, safety car has picked up exactly who is required, and the field now then come through at this much reduced pace on towards Blanchimont, and you can understand why it's a slow pace here, because that would bring them towards the incident zone. So everybody now being brought under control. Safety car lights are flashing, and up the road the recovery operation continues. So the race officials hard at work. I said before the race started, Lamborghinis at Spa often produce drama. It's happened again. So a combination that's had a win this year, Sebastian Balthazar and Noah Watt, falling victim of just running ever so slightly too wide out of Blanchimont on the back, just breaking traction, spinning across the road. Not the first to have done it this weekend, possibly not the last. And then the wall claims the car. So down they come, heading to the chicane. And Van Berlo comes past. Car's been retrieved. And Noah Watt, as I said earlier on, will have a trip to the medical centre just to be on the safe side. So after a big impact, no chances are being taken to make sure that the driver is absolutely okay. So at the moment we're looking at 3-minute laps, and therefore it won't be many at this rate before the flag comes out. So Dan Pell leads the way, looking for the first victory. We've had Max Wearing, the winner at Monza, drama right at the end. Alberto Di Folco was a guest driver at Monza. He won the second race, having had a puncture in the first at Paul Ricard. 2 wins for Kevin Gilardoni and Leonardo Pulcini, the first coming by the cars that had any penalties, the second being their rightful win, if you like. And then at Zandvoort it was a win in race 1 for Noah Watt and Sebastian Balthazar, and race 2 it was the third win for Gilardoni and Pulcini. So a good mix of winners, and now the cars make this slow climb up Raidillon. Still got a couple of stragglers, in fact, to catch up to the queue by the look of it. One of which is Hans Fabry, and I think the other one is the Donovan and Gianno Primitelio car. So the leaders make the climb again up through Mekong. All in the line. 9 minutes to go. And cars, of course, not able to overtake while we have the safety car on track like this. The race continues, albeit under controlled conditions. All of these laps count within the 50 minutes. Cars, of course, not able to overtake while we have the safety car on track like this. The race continues, albeit under controlled conditions. 1 and 2 trying to weave around, but down well is there, just going out of shots, trying to keep up the tire temperatures and pressures, but for others, it's more a case of waiting for instruction really from the team, because they will get used as to when the safety car is due in, and then the pace will be quickened anyway to get things up to temperature, then they can be ready to go again. But as I say, I'm not going to have many laps before the end of this. So the circuit is just about clear looking into the distance, so if we can go this time, that would be good. It might be that the race director wants one more lap, partly to get things up to temperature, partly to let the course vehicles off the circuit, but we will see. When the lights go out, that's the indication that we can go racing. The lights are still flashing, aren't they? I would have thought one more lap at a quicker pace would be the answer, but let us see what the go is. It's a fine line between doing that and giving the drivers enough racing time here. So what you don't want to do is let them loose flat out on tyres that have gone really cold. And as yet, we haven't had the safety car in this lap message. So down towards Blanchimont comes the safety car. Dampel really eager to get on with this. The lights still flash. So the last lap was 4 minutes behind the safety car. And down they come, and still the lights are flashing, so it looks like we are going to have one more. Past the incident zone then. Now, down to the chicane. And as you can see, we are under 7 minutes to go. The safety car lap is about 4 minutes and change. So there'll be time for just about one flying lap here, assuming we go racing at the end of this next one. So the safety car comes through. Of course, what you also need is for the emergency vehicles to be off the circuit as well. The safety car goes through to the eye, looking as though it's just quickened its pace, actually. So this suggests that this is going to be a fast lap, get everything back up to temperature, then we can go racing again. Down they come out of La Source. Yellow flag still wave. Through they turn once more out of the Rouge, and then the climb up through Ranion. So if you catch a glimpse of the safety car, see if the lights are out. They will be, because it is in at the end of this lap. There is confirmation. So safety car in at the end of this lap. Comes the safety car, 5.5 minutes to go. It is going to be really frustrating for those drivers that need to push, but it's going to be a very dramatic dash to the flag, isn't it, once we go racing? The likes of Leonardo Pulcini, 6th on his toes. Well, in a way, this has played out quite well for him, because everyone has bunched up ahead. He doesn't have long to get through the traffic, but the traffic is all there in one group. Who is 4th? Glenn Van Baerle, though, looks as though he'd dropped away a little bit in the traffic there. Andre Lewandowski has as well, so 1 or 2 of them need to quicken their pace, catch the car ahead, otherwise you're compromising everybody. In Pro-Am, Lewandowski ahead of Sava and then Massimo Siglia. In the AM contest, Gabriel Rindoni now is ahead. Rindoni, who has already been this year a front runner within the AM class, hasn't had a win, surprisingly, but he's been on the door, on the verge of one, knocking on the door of one. And the leading Lamborghini Cup entry is Daniel Waszyński, who's taken over from Pierre Ferregioni. So the pace the safety car is going suggests we might squeeze 2 racing laps out of this, which is a good thing. It will be in at the end of the lap. And now it is up to Dan Pell to try and control this restart, try not to get mugged on the resumption of the race. The safety car peels in, and there's going to be time for 2 more laps then as we are set to go racing. 33 Dan Pell, the man in the lead of the race there, going through his 22, which now further down the order is the car of Libor Dvoracek that has lost a lap, but we are about to go racing, and there are the leading 3. Dan Pell, Kevin Rossell, Max Weering, and look, Lewandowski is a little bit slow. He has got Glenn Van Berlo behind him, so somewhere along the line we've had a change of place under the safety car, which is rather curious. But as they come up now towards the timing line, through they come, racing once more, and so it is Pell that leads the way. Rossell in 2nd place, 3rd over the line is Weering, then through in 4th spot goes now Glenn Van Berlo, 5th is Andrei Lewandowski, and Leonardo Pulcini is in 6th place, and there's a real old scrum of cars coming out of La Source with a rather slower Lewandowski then getting in the way slightly of Pulcini as the leaders make that climb up the hill once more. Another one being given a penalty is Gabriel Ridoni. He will get 30 seconds at the end of the race, and so also will number 6. So the Michelotto and Dörrbecker car being hit with another penalty as the field climbs the hill then with 1 more lap to go at the end of this. It is still Dan Pell ahead of Kevin Rossell. Max Weering is 3rd. Gap back to 4th. There going through is Glenn Van Berlo. Lewandowski is under attack from Pulcini, then Michelotto, and then Dimitri Ganatsava is next up. Now Ganatsava gets up with Lewandowski. That's going to be the Pro-Am class lead. So Lewandowski doesn't want to fight the wrong car, but doesn't want to give too many places away. Another brilliant scrum pouring out of Lecombe here. So Pulcini is up now into, 5th place on the road. He's gained 1 spot against Lewandowski, who knows his class leads on borrowed time here as they plunge downhill. Way out wide goes Leonardo Pulcini. More dust being kicked up in the background as they run wide out of the so-called speaker's corner into Pouan now, through that long looping left. Keeps on turning, keeps on dropping downhill as well. So with 2 minutes on the clock, next battle to look for there. 21 on the inside line is trying to recover ground, Gabriel Rindoni. He's got Massimo Siglia alongside him. Siglia in the Oregon car gets forced out way wide, but Rindoni with a 30-second penalty to come at the end. And now also number 99, Dimitri Ganatsava, has also picked up a 30-second penalty, and he's in strife down there. Into the gravel he has just gone. You can hear it happening. And there's another car in strife at Bruxelles, so suddenly everything is kicking off in this race. A car with a penalty falls into the gravel. There's another spinner up at the top of the hill as well. And so with 1 more lap to run, it's amazing what happens when you let cars loose with only a couple of laps of the race to go. It is all happening around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in this first of 2 races of the weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. This little battle is between Andrei Lewandowski and Mattia Michelotto. It's Pro-Am leads pro-class car, and for the moment Lewandowski really can be advised to let him go because he's not under any class opposition. The lead gap onto the last lap now has widened, so 1.5 seconds. And who is that we have lost up at the top of the hill? It is Han Hoi-Lin, who was looking good earlier in the lead of the AM category. Now there, Michelotto does make his move against Lewandowski, goes through, but he goes wide. Up towards the Run to Eau Rouge they come. So Andrei Lewandowski doesn't have to fight for this position, but the 2 VS Racing cars squabble as one. But I think now that Mattia Michelotto has got ahead, he will stay there. Trouble is, he's got this penalty at the end of the race to be applied. Dan Pell leads the way. I'll have a look for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, because that now is all concertinaing. Rossell caught by Weering, caught by Van Berlo, and then Leonardo Pulcini 5th is almost up with them as well. So that battle pack is growing and growing all the time. It's the last lap of the race. The checkered flag is going to be out this time, and it looks like it's going to be a maiden win for Dan Pell and for Danny Cruz. And there, look, Glenn Van Berlo right on the back of Max Weering, so 3rd place could change, and if they really hold each other up, then that's going to let Pulcini in on the act as well. To the inside line tries to go Glenn Van Berlo, but he couldn't find a way by there. Not for the want of trying, though. Downhill they tumble. Behind them in the background is the charging Pulcini, but I don't think he's quite going to get close enough here. He ideally needs these 2 to tangle, and it could happen. So the flag will be ready at the end of this lap, ready for Dan Pell. This is the view on board number 41. Glenn Van Berlo still hustling on, still trying to find a way up and past the car of Max Wearing ahead of the Monza winner is under attack, no question about it. So Dan Pell has driven really, really well here. A good pit stop from the team and a good stint to stretch the margin. Kevin Rossell just not able to match the pace. So Pell pulled clear, makes this run now up towards the left of Blanchimont, up towards the checkered flag. Van Berlo is still on the attack for third place, and he might just get there. Let us see as they dive through the corner. But it is going to be a win for the Bonaldi Motorsport car then, as up towards the chicane comes Dan Pell. A really impressive drive this has been in that second stint. Danny Cruz teed him up nicely, and so Danny Cruz and Dan Pell are going to come through to score victory then over the line. It is a race win for Dan Pell and Danny Cruz. Second goes the way of Kevin Rossell and Jonathan Cecotto, and third just hanging on at the line, Max Wearing, and he therefore stays ahead of Glenn Van Berlo. Got one or two way out wide in the background. Leonardo Pulcini fifth, Mattia Michelotto sixth on the road. Andre Lewandowski wins the Pro-Am class. And it's all drama happening here. Look, coming through, J.M. Littman is off the road and back on again at the chicane. He hugs the inside line and just stays ahead there as they come up past the pits with Massimo Siglia behind him. So that means for J.M. Littman is 14th, Siglia takes 15th, Gerhard Watzinger behind him in 16th place. They're all still pouring through after another lively race within Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. But well done, Dan Pell and Danny Cruz. Yet another winning combination of drivers, and really good to see. The winning margin, 2.2 seconds. So even though there weren't that many opportunities after the safety car to stretch the advantage, Dan Pell did take full advantage of what was given to him. So the cars will make their way around to the pit lane, and the drivers then will head to the podium. So the four classes that the Lamborghini Super Trofeo has. Pro top three being Dan Pell and Danny Cruz, from Kevin Rossell and Jonathan Cecotto, and then Max Wearing taking third. Pro-Am won by Lewandowski and Karol Bash. Second of the Pro-Ams was number 66, Josef Zaruba and Bronek Formanek, and third, Dan Wells and Oscar Lee. So Dan Pell and Danny Cruz, the race winners. Jonathan Cecotto and Kevin Rossell take second. Max Wearing takes third. Raul Gutzmann fourth with Glenn Van Berlo. Leonardo Pulcini fifth with Kevin Gilardoni and Mattia Michelotto. And co-driver Miji Dörrbecker classified as sixth. Although, as I say, there are one or two penalties still to factor in. And there, Han Hui Lin, really frustrated that he wasn't able to get going again after that spin at Bruxelles. The recovery team there ready to get that car out of harm's way and hopefully restart it and drive it back. No damage, one hope, done to that car. So for Dan Pell, first victory of the season and the first podium of the season indeed. So a really, really good result for the Dutch crew. And let's just confirm the way they came across the line. Dan Pell and Danny Cruz, the winners, from Jonathan Cecotto and Kevin Rossell. Max Wearing taking third ahead of Raul Gutzmann and Glenn Van Berlo for fourth. Kevin Gilardoni's spin, putting him and Leonardo Pulcini into fifth, ahead of Mattia Michelotto and Miji Dörrbecker. The winning Pro-Ams, Karol Bash and Andre Lewandowski seventh, ahead of Bronislav Formanek and Josef Zaruba, with Milan Tikens and Maxime Ouston ninth, from Dan Wells and Oscar Lee. Remember, Tikens and Ouston's car having had a spin early on in the race as well. 14th, the AM winner, Gerhard Watzinger. First victory of the season for him, ahead of Ray Calvin and Matthias Hofstummer. And third of the AMs, Mark Rostan and Claude Gosselin. And in the Lamborghini Cup, Daniel Bashinsky and Pierre Feligioni, the winners, from Gerard van der Horst and then Hans Fabry. And they will all make their way to the podium. And we wish Noah Watt well after what was clearly quite a big whack into the wall. So there, an absolutely delighted Dan Pell with Danny Cruz. Danny back in the championship, but here largely to help newcomer Dan Pell. And a really, really happy Bonaldi team, even with the helmets and the masks. You can tell that they're a very happy group of drivers. rather less happy, Kevin Rossell, who goes and has a look at the front of the car, as though there's either some overheating or some damage there, which has affected his pace. And Max Weering, the soloist, taking that 3rd place. Race 2 coming up, of course, tomorrow, and the drivers that have just done the 2nd stint will do the 1st stint tomorrow. So it'll have a slightly different feel to the race, with different drivers in at different times. So Dan Pell and Danny Cruz, the race winners, and very happy they are there with Jammer.
Boys, a fantastic result, very much well deserved. Wasn't it an easy race, was it?
No, for sure. I had to save a lot of tires because, of course, the heat was coming up. But the car was amazing, and I could just drive, saving the tires and have a lot of speed, make a gap. Unfortunately, the safety car came, but Dan did an amazing job to finish it up. So, yeah, really happy with the first chance to win that we immediately do it.
Absolutely, and Danny, bring it across the line there. Clearly, we can see the smile behind the mask.
It's very happy. It's very relieving. It's the thank to Danny, because Danny did the hard work. I hope Noah's okay. Sadly, that shortened my stint, but I saw him walk out. So, yeah, very happy. I think we had the pace either way to do it, so I'm very happy it happened.
A great start to the weekend. Well done, boys.
Thank you.
Great result for Dan Pell and Danny Cruz then, and we echo the thoughts, wishing Noah Watt well after that trip into the wall. So the winning car, 2.2 seconds the margin over Kevin Rossell and Jonathan Cecotto. Jonathan will be particularly knocked, I would have thought, after his great stint, but they lost time in the pits, and Kevin Rossell's lap time just not good enough to bring them back into the mix. But the Rinaldi team, one of the stalwart Lamborghini squads, very, very happy indeed. And the Lamborghini drivers then that aren't required for the podium, there you can see in the pit lane, they are heading to the paddock once the paddock entry lane is cleared of Clio's, which is going to be next. Jonathan Cecotto and Kevin Rossell then taking 2nd place, and let's hear from them at the end of this first race of the weekend. They're with Gemma.
Jonathan, if we come to you quickly first, it was a tough race for both of you. Finishing 2nd, though, is a great result.
For sure, great, but not perfect. The goal was to win, and so it's a bit, how do you call it? The taste is not as good because that's where we wanted to be, and unfortunately we weren't able to achieve it, but there's another day tomorrow, and the objective is still the same tomorrow.
Absolutely. Kevin, quick word from you?
Yeah, that's the point. We've been struggling a bit, with, especially on the used tires. So in the race, we knew it would be difficult, but yeah, anyways, a good result. Johnny did a perfect job. Now we try again tomorrow.
We'll let you get off to the podium. Well done, boys. Thank you.
So there is the 2nd place car. Kevin Rossell brought it home. Interesting to hear what he says about struggling on the used tyres, but that car then taking 2nd spot. And Kevin will get the fresh tyres tomorrow. He will be the start stint driver, and hopefully that might make life a tad easy for him. Even so, that car banking points, but surprising given how quick it has been all year, that still it is winless as far as the GSM car is concerned. But it's going to come sooner or later. Jonathan Cecotto, who was a winner of the World Final 2 years ago with Frederick Schandorf, the last time we had the World Final, of course, and here at Spa, 2.2 seconds that margin. They will try to turn the tables tomorrow. So whilst we await for the podium, let's have a quick look back at the best bits of that opening race, which began with drama right at the very first corner. Good start by Cecotto. He led, and up the inside line for 2nd place, Danny Cruz, then trying to force the issue against the green car of Sebastian Balthazar. Balthazar got run out wide, and around in the traffic went the car of Maxi Mouston. This is how Raul Gutzman saw it all. Suddenly the road got busy, and there were Lamborghinis everywhere as he plunged downhill. Then we had more drama on the opening lap, again on cold tyres. Kevin Gillard only lost it. He was ever so close to hitting the barriers and to being hit by others. Then we had this great fight between Karol Bash and Sebastian Balthazar. Bash off the road, gained the place, then had to give it back. But ultimately that car would win Pro-Am. Sebastian Balthazar was losing places anyway. And then in the 2nd stint, Noah Watt having a sizable moment coming out of Blanchimont. pit stop window opened. Cars cycle through. And the leading car, that of Kevin Rossell and Jonathan Cecotto, lost its lead on the pit stops. As up and past it came Dan Pell, relaying Danny Kroes, and Glenn Van Berlo was another in a hurry, and he gained one place after Noah Watt had that big moment coming out of Blanchimont. And Noah understandably frustrated and understandably shaken after what was a very high-speed whack with the wall. Race got back underway, and although the top three were nose to tail, Dan Pell was able to stretch the advantage and get away from Rossell, who was a bit busy keeping Max Weering at bay, with the other half of the field all in one big gaggle going up towards Les Combes. Surviving that few corners was absolutely key to a half-decent result. Han Hui Lin was in strife coming up through the Bruxelles right-hander. There was more drama going into the chicane as being turned around was Libor Dvoracek. That car didn't get going again and was a retirement from the race as the field came pouring through with a win for Dan Pell and Danny Kroes. So there we have the drivers making their way onto the top step of the podium, and for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo race there will be the Belgian flag and the Belgian national anthem. So the Belgian flags, the Belgian anthem, as a mark of respect for everything that the country and its populace has been through in the last few weeks. And you'll find that many of the races are doing exactly the same thing for the podium ceremonies this weekend, and it happened last week when the British GT Championship was here. So well done to the top three crews overall. For third place, the drivers of the Johan Crown car, or the driver singular, Max Weering. For second place, Jonathan Cecotto and Kevin Rossell. And the race winners, Danny Kroes and Dan Pell. Masks off briefly for the cameras, and then they make their way from the podium. The next group of drivers being made ready, and that is for Pro-Am. So for third place in the Pro-Am class,